that subject that we're going to talk about, that we're going to start this whole thing off with, is a rumor. And why not?
Carmelo Anthony.
Bring him the PDX, baby.
So fill us in a little bit, Jared, on what's going down.
Absolutely. So about 4 hours ago, Jason McIntyre, he works for Fox Sports 1. He works with Colin Cowherd. He tweeted out that Carmelo Anthony's camp is trying feverishly, last-ditch attempt, I think he called it a Hail Mary, to get the Knicks to accept a trade from sending Carmelo Anthony to the Rockets. He included in the tweet, the Knicks aren't going to do that, and then he said, ... that Carmelo is going to accept a trade to Portland if the Knicks can't make it work with Houston.
Before we dive in, a little more background on McIntyre. I mean, this isn't just a random guy that's tweeting this stuff. He's got a pretty decent following.
Yeah, he has more than 100,000 followers on Twitter. He has he was based in New York. He's in LA now, so he probably has connections. My guess is someone in Carmelo's camp reached out to him, gave him this news, and this is a leverage play. They're trying to see if Houston will increase their offer. Houston's only offering Ryan Anderson and his $60 million over the next 3 years, and the Knicks don't want that. And nobody in the NBA wants that. They've tried to bring in third teams to have someone take on Ryan Anderson's contract, and nobody wants that contract. So the Rockets don't have the pieces they need to get this trade done unless they decide they're going to trade Eric Gordon and Trevor Ariza, throw in draft picks, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen for the Rockets. So if McIntyre's account is to be believed, probably by Monday, Carmelo Anthony could be a Blazer.
Okay, let's stop talking facts for a second. Let's hear about how you guys feel. Nate, I'll start with you. What do you think about this, man?
If I was a Blazers fan, I would be so excited. I mean, we're talking in the NBA right now, you need a super team to win. We all know that. And the Blazers right now, if Nurkic is healthy, has 3 really solid players, and they're a piece away from being a super team themselves.
Sure.
Carmelo Anthony, yes, not in his prime, but adding him to the mix where he could be the second. This is still Damian Lillard's team, even if Carmelo comes to Portland. So adding Carmelo to the mix where you're not asking him to be the guy, I think it could be a really, really fun year for the Blazers.
That's 22 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. What do you think?
I go back and forth. As you know, Carmelo Anthony has been in the rumor mill with the Blazers for months. And I've gone back and forth between being excited at the prospect of an actual star coming to Portland, which never happens. But I worry about Carmelo's defense. I worry about his fit. Even as great an offensive player as he is he a good fit in Terry Stotts' offense? I was looking at something today that kind of piqued my interest a little bit. In 2012 and 2013, Carmelo Anthony played most of his minutes for the Knicks at power forward, and those were 2 of his best seasons and his most efficient seasons. He shot 38% and 41% from distance on three-pointers in those 2 seasons playing power forward. I remember Evan Turner talked about Carmelo Anthony about a month ago, and he said it would be great if Carmelo Anthony wants to come to Portland, then he knows that Carmelo Anthony has bought in to Portland. He's bought into being Lillard's teammate and being here with C.J. McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic to playing in Terry Stotts' offense. And so I think if he was willing to come in, if he was completely committed to Portland, how can you say no? You'd have to get on board with that, even with his questions about defense, even with he likes to play a lot of isolation basketball. He likes to hold the ball. He likes to shoot the mid-range J. None of those things are great in Terry Stotts' offense, but you'd have to hope and believe that he would adapt.
I think it's pretty clear he wants out. He wants nothing to do with the Knicks, right?
And the Knicks don't want to have anything to do with him either.
Right.
Every time their new general manager talks about the future of the team, the vision of the team, he talks about Porzingis and Tim Hardaway Jr. and all these other players. He never mentions Carmelo. They didn't put Carmelo on their season ticket packages. Ouch. They didn't put him on any of their marketing material for this leading into this season. They want him gone just as much as he wants to be out.
The problem becomes obviously that Carmelo Anthony is in control of this situation because of his contract and the clause that he has in that contract. And right now it seems like the only team that is on that clause is the Houston Rockets. But we understand that those options and what are on the table probably don't jive for every party. And it looks like or appears that maybe the Portland Trailblazers have something that might be a better offer for all parties involved.
And I remember Jared and I talked about this a couple months ago when the very first Carmelo rumor came up with Portland. And I remember telling him if he ends up in Portland, it's going to be right around training camp time. And it's going to be because they couldn't work out a deal with another team, and he just wants out of New York. And he'll realize Portland is really not a bad option, especially when you get Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Evan Turner. They've all been working this summer on trying to sell him on Portland. It's not like they don't want him here. They've actively been working. The Blazers on social media have actively been working to convince Carmelo that this is the place he should spend the next season. And it looks like, I mean, if what Jason McIntyre says is true, I mean, that could be exactly where we end up.
And adding to McIntyre's report as well, I think Frank Isola was saying that they plan to have something in place by Monday.
Right.
And as you guys all know, Monday is when things really get cracking. We get our media days going for a lot of teams on Monday, including the Blazers, and then training camp starts on Tuesday. So this is something I think that's going to move pretty quickly if something happens. And by all accounts, it looks like Melo wants out, they want him out, and there's a couple of parties involved that would like to have the services of Carmelo Anthony. And I do need to say that if you guys are watching, feel free to comment below. Join the discussion. That's what this is really all about, is getting your take as well as ours and feeding off of that and having a good conversation, basically.
And if you have questions for us, we're happy to take those questions and answer them.
You guys touched on this a little bit. Kelly Hill wants to know, who do you guys think the Blazers are going to give up?
Very good question.
So our producer, Max Barr, just told us that Kelly Hill was asking, we're talking about Carmelo and him coming to Portland. Well, if he comes to Portland, the Blazers got to give something up, obviously. The same Blazers roster we have right now will not be the same if Carmelo is a Blazer on Monday. So who do we think the Blazers are going to get?
I got to say, at least the consensus is that the Blazers are untouchable. Their big three are untouchable. So Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic are off the table. But I feel like anything else or a combination of is totally up for debate. Who do you got?
You know what the Knicks want? They don't want any long-term salary. They don't want, they don't want Ryan Anderson. So it probably stands to reason they're not going to want someone like Evan Turner, who has his own bad contract. They do want Mo Harkless. That news has been out there. There's been enough rumors that you can take that to the bank. So I think that the trade would center around Maurice Harkless. I don't think they're going to take on Myers Leonard's contract because that's another bad contract. So you're probably looking at, Ed Davis, Al-Farouq Aminu, Maurice Harkless, maybe even a first-round draft pick.
And what you're looking at, he's got 2 years left, 26, 27 a year.
Right, but
right
he can opt out after this season.
So you're basically looking at a one-year deal for Carmelo Anthony.
That's all you can guarantee.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, that's most likely situation. Unless things go really well this upcoming season and the Blazers, make it to the finals, the expectation would be from the front office this is probably a one-year buy-in. And so like Jared said, while Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu, we know they're not Carmelo Anthony and it might not sound like a fair deal, you have to take into account the fact that it's basically a one-year rental guaranteed. I mean, at the most, he's here 2 years. I don't think anyone expects him to stay at Portland longer than 2 years.
And if you're the Knicks, you're just trying to get as much as you can out of this because
Exactly.
you want him out and he wants out.
Yeah, and Mo Harkless has potential.
Oh, yeah.
We've
He's
seen
very
it here.
young. He's still 24.
Exactly. He's young. He's got potential. His contract's about $10 million a year. It's very workable, and he's from New York, which is another.
Played at St. John's.
Exactly. And so to have him be the centerpiece, that's definitely something you would like more than Ryan Anderson for 3 years at $60 million. And then, like Jared said, like a player like Al-Farouq Aminu, a guy who can step in and play right now as well, will probably be in there, and then potentially a first-round pick. And if you're the Knicks, I mean, that's the best you're going to get at this point.
That's a really good trade for the Knicks. Yeah. And I think it's a fair offer on the Blazers side as well, but you are giving up a lot of your depth. You're giving up two of your best defenders, including your best defender. Aminu's the best defender on the Blazers. If you have to throw a draft pick in there, you're giving up future assets. This isn't without risk. Carmelo could leave in a year. I don't consider it a slam dunk that he would opt out because $27 million is a lot to give up. Teams aren't giving as big of contracts as they were, 2 summers ago. And so I think that Carmelo Anthony would think about giving up that $27 million. He's not getting that on the open market. not at 34 years
And
old.
this late into Carmelo's career, this could be one of the best situations that he's ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And now with the recruiting side of things, with Damian Lillard reaching out, and obviously C.J. McCollum even going out to work out with him in New York, I believe it was. All of those things I
Hoodie
think
Melo,
play into it.
Hoodie CJ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hoodie Melo might turn out to be the best player on the Blazers roster, man.